turquoise pendant, pre-drilled bead. I start with the bead, of course, and I'm going to use copper wire for this one. I snip off about 8 inches of wire, and then I'm going to take the round nose pliers and round the tip of that wire. Just turn it around like that. And then I'm going to get a flat nose plier and squeeze that together and kind of cause a coil to form. And once I get it around a little bit, then I'm going to go to a wider flat nose plier and just use that to kind of roll it round and round and round until I get the coil the way I want it, 5, 6, 8 turns of that wire. I'm using copper wire because it's inexpensive and it's a good way to learn if you're learning, but it also is quite saleable. Go round and round with that wire a couple times until you got what you want, so the size is about right for the kind of bead you're going to use. Then I'm going to introduce the bead to the mess. It's a piece of turquoise. That's a bead that's been drilled lengthwise. I'm going to straighten my copper wire out and insert it into the hole in the bead and pull it all the way down to about as far as I can until I'm going to have enough to roll that coil that I made back over onto the face of the bead. Now I'll fold that down kind of where I want it, the look I want for the front of the piece. And now I'm going to take the copper wire and roll it back over across the back. I'm going to flip off the coil that I made and wrap the tail of that wire around the existing wire right at the bead hole. And now I'm going to take and wrap that really tight. Wrap it a couple times, or actually one full revolution, and get out a pair of flat nose, needle nose pliers and squeeze that down real tight on where that comes out of the bead. Just give that a good pinch right in there and then kind of pull back on that and take your thumb and flatten down on that coil. That's about all there is to it. Now tighten up the wire a little bit around there so it's nice and tight. I use the side of the plier there to push that down. And then kind of straighten my wire up, straighten the wire out. Now take it and straighten it up and grab it, fold it back, and then introduce the round nose plier again and take and wrap around the round nose plier a big enough circle to get to make a bail, and come back around on the wire. Grab it sideways, and I can either pinch it with my fingers or pinch it again with the flat nose pliers and wrap that wire around and around and around as tight as you can get it in there. And just keep wrapping and wrapping. You can do it just with your fingers, or sometimes it just gets kind of tight and I'm right to the end of this wire. Get another pair of pliers in there and wrap that around and make that nice and clean. So that it's going to be real pretty. That's not very good yet. It still needs quite a bit of work. This copper wire is about a 14 gauge and it's fairly heavy. So then get your pliers in there and just kind of wrap that around and squeeze it down and make those coils look real good. Take that end. A lot of times you'll have to snip it right here. I got real lucky and had that piece of wire just about the right length when I cut it in the first place. Just now what I'm doing is taking and tightening up the wire. So I just take the tip of that needle nose plier and kind of go to the right and to the left and to the right and to the left and go down and kind of make a zigzag pattern. What that does is tighten up all the wire onto the bead so it's nice and tight and secure. Just trim that up a little bit. Try not to gouge the wire out with your pliers, and then that's kind of what it's going to look like. You know, I'm still going to go back and do a little bit of fine tuning on that bail, straighten it up a little bit, get that wire so it's more perfect in there. That's kind of what it's going to look like at the end. That's a fairly simple bead out of, or a fairly simple pendant out of a pre-drilled turquoise bead. Enjoy. Try it yourself. It's real simple.